Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
Do you have a story of survival?
A parent goes to residential school. They haven't had that family connection. Those traditional values and ceremonies that many of us exposed to are taken.
Or have a lost loved one that was involved in human trafficking, exploitation, missing, or murdered? My name is Jasmine Castillo, and I am the host of Hands Off My podcast that brings to the forefront, specifically from Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Black Indigenous people of color.
Anderson County 911, what's the location of your emergency? Ma'am, what's going on out there? You're saying a baby's missing and nobody...
As well as nonprofit organizations.
When I was a private investigator 5 years ago, we picked up a case that was Shanice Harris' case.
That help and advocate families of lost loved ones with their closure.
From sometime from his shift at work to that next day, he was either robbed or apprehended at some point with someone coming into the restaurant.
And opening a cold case.
So that, to me, was his way out, and it negatively impacted Armani's investigation.
Please join me on Thursdays on any podcast platform wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are voiceless no more.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker, the devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way. Fall to your knees, devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Dylan, we are in the month of September.
Okay.
Do you know what this means?
I've heard rumors.
All month long, we will be discussing cases that are related to college campuses, high schools, back to school students.
So edumacation, basically.
Yeah, edumacation-based crime cases.
Okay.
Are you ready?
That's interesting because I feel like that is a genre that will have some gems in it I've never heard, you know?
Do you have your notebooks, your pencils, all your school supplies ready?
Yes. I went back to Mountain Murders podcast shopping before this episode started.
You went back to school shopping?
Yes, but I feel like you have a very important morning announcement before we get started.
Well, I do. Let's give a big shout out to our newest patron, Mallory. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mallory. We hope you enjoy the ad-free and extra content.
We sure do, Dylan.
I hope she really enjoys it because she's so smart. Her GPA must be a 4.6.
Advanced placement, Mallory.
Yes.
Yeah. She's going to be valedictorian of Mountain Murders today's episode. Dylan, speaking of colleges, there has been a story making headlines. A University of Kentucky student and competitive cheerleader was arrested after the body of her newborn was found stuffed inside a garbage bag in a closet.
Oh, my gosh.
Have you heard this case?
No.
Like I said, it's making headlines, man. It's all over the place. 21-year-old Laken Snelling was cuffed Sunday after law enforcement was called out about an unresponsive baby at a residence near campus in Lexington. Officers found the infant, quote, wrapped in a towel inside a black trash bag in, like, the back of a closet.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to respond when you're in that condition.
You mean the baby?
Yeah.
The baby didn't respond?
That's why it was unresponsive.
Oh, my gosh. What is wrong with you? Snelling was confirmed to be the baby's mama, and the newborn was pronounced dead at the scene, according to police. The cheerleader was interviewed by officers and admitted to giving birth. The new mother has been charged with abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and concealing the birth of an infant.
Wow. I mean, there could be so many variables to a situation like this. It really can get kind of hard to figure out, you know. But I mean, there's so many programs and people that you can reach out to get help during something like this. Say a pregnancy where you have no support, or that maybe you're torn, maybe you're afraid of having the baby for whatever reason. Maybe you're afraid of it affecting your life in an adverse manner. You're young and it could, mess your plans up. But I mean, this is certainly not the route to go.
No, Snelling is listed as a member of the University of Kentucky's stunt cheerleading team.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's like competitive cheerleader.
That's high level, and I still say that, especially at this level, cheerleading is a sport, and they should be treated as such, and they're not, and that sucks.
Well, many pro-choice advocates point to the fact that nearly all abortion has been illegal in the state of Kentucky since 2022. I would argue, now I get like not everybody has access to transportation, can get out of state, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, judging from the social media pictures and things I have seen of Miss Snelling, it doesn't appear to me that she's someone who maybe struggles financially. There are multiple photos of her where she's competed in pageants. She's doing this competitive cheerleading, which I'm sure costs a lot of money. I'm sure there's been a lot of investment into like tumbling and gymnastics and things like that. So I would say this girl definitely has access to the finances and transportation to go out of state.
Right.
To terminate the pregnancy early on. I mean, if that was a thing she was kind of contemplating. So I don't necessarily say, well, they didn't have abortion in that state, because she definitely seems like someone who could access abortion services if she needed to.
Look, the abortion conversation is so tricky. No matter the situation, if the baby's born, your circumstance or your wants or your preference take a back seat to that little baby being born. And I mean,
well, I'm just saying a lot of people are kind of blaming it on the fact that abortion has been banned in the state.
Right.
And I can kind of see both points of view. But like I said, I mean, I also think that she's someone who has some means. She has a social media where she's got multiple like formal wear listed. And the dresses are all listed, like, oh, I paid $600 for this dress, but you can buy it for $200. So I'm like, just gauging the fact that if you've got $400 or $600 to spend on multiple formal wear, like prom dresses, homecoming dresses, pageant dresses, you probably have enough money to go across state lines and have an abortion. So I guess, I have questions like, what was it, like a religious thing that she kind of hid this pregnancy, or didn't want to choose to terminate the pregnancy? For me, I just will never understand how anybody can hide a pregnancy for 9 months. I mean, that part I cannot understand.
In the cases I've seen in the past where nobody knew, everybody was kind of shocked and surprised. There's even been cases when women didn't realize they were pregnant. They were usually, how do you politically correctly say this? A big girl. You know what I'm saying? Right? Not.
That's okay. I'm a thick girl too.
Let's just say a cheerleader is not what I think when I think of those cases where women are successfully or unknowingly pregnant or successfully hide their pregnancy, right? Because they tend to be, fairly fit and very active.
Yeah, I mean, there are various photos of her. She definitely seemed fit. She's got abs.
Right.
In many of the photos. I wish I had some abs.
Well, it's a tricky case, and it sounds like there's a lot going on, but
you know what? Like, at the end of the day, regardless of the situation, whatever, you should not murder this innocent child. You should not birth this baby and then kill it.
Well, no, and I guess we don't know exactly if maybe the baby was birthed and died of some kind of after birth complication, and her not being in a hospital or something like that could certainly point towards negligence or something like that. Or if she just, if there's something even worse, more nefarious at play. But it's just sad.
It is really sad because there are so many options in a case like this. She did not have to end this newborn's life.
No.
These stories are always so heartbreaking, and you can have empathy for the new mom, because I'm sure she's going through something psychologically, right? Because it's very unnatural to harm your newborn child, right? So, you can kind of feel something for her, but at the same time, like, she has there's just no reason really to do this when there are so many options. People want to adopt. I'm sure someone in her community would have been glad to take that baby. She's probably got a lot of support from friends and family. She could have kept the child. There's just so many other options.
Yeah, certainly. It certainly is, especially in this modern day. She's in a first world country. There's billions of people that would like to have access to, the things available as far as, hospitals and such, and outreach programs that she has availability of. And maybe we'll get more information on this case.
Well, we will, because the cause of the infant's death is pending review by the Fayette County Coroner's Office, so we still don't really have, a manner of death for the child. And Snelling is currently held at the Fayette County Detention Center. The university hasn't really responded to any requests for comment on the story. So it's definitely unfolding, and I'm sure law enforcement is keeping many of the details under wraps for now.
Right.
Because it does seem to be active investigation.
Yeah, what if it turns out the child was stillborn or something like that? That would certainly change the optics or people. But still, it sounds, I don't know, it's tricky. It sounds disturbing, just at face value.
Absolutely, Dylan. It is very disturbing. When I was a student at my university, an incident similar to this happened, where a student at Western Carolina University, she was a sorority girl, popular, seemed to come from a good family by all reports, had a boyfriend, whatever. She gave birth to a baby in an off-campus apartment. I believe stabbed the newborn.
Oh.
Wrapped her in I think it was a baby girl, wrapped her in a trash bag and then disposed of her at a landfill in Macon County, North Carolina. She was pretty quickly discovered, arrested, and I believe she was sentenced to 9 years in prison.
Wow.
For that infanticide.
Well, yeah, in a case
I guess it would be neonaticide is what they call it.
Well, you killed your baby.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. And it's no matter what's happening or what you're dealing with, it's not good. And like you said, it's very unnatural. It just goes against most people's, inherent wants and needs, if you will. But, I will say I'm curious in this case, who reported a non-responsive infant? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because she's already obviously had the baby.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not clear if it was a roommate.
Yeah.
Maybe her partner.
And she'd already kind of wrapped it up and kind of put it away. You know what I mean? Hid it, if you will. So, yeah, I will be interested in following the details of this case if we get more information.
Yeah, I'm sure more information will come out. And I just thought we would start off with that because, of course, we're focusing on college campuses and crime. Now, Dylan, let's get into the core of today's episode. And I'd like to begin by talking about stalking as a crime.
Yeah, I'm going to stalk you.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
Stalking is very scary.
Oh, totally.
Right? And it's interesting because, most states have laws on the books about stalking, but a lot of times stalking on a college campus can be considered punishable in a different light or something. It doesn't necessarily automatically go to the county or the city's law enforcement. A lot of times college campuses have their own police department and want to handle the issue internally.
Okay, I did not realize that.
It can just be someone feels uncomfortable, they go to campus authorities. They say, hey, I've seen this person around my dorm, around the cafeteria. I don't really feel comfortable. I think this person is stalking me. And a lot of times these cases can kind of seem like trivial student complaints.
Right.
And they're not always taken like seriously by college administrators. And you end up kind of accomplishing nothing if you report it to law enforcement. I mean, that seems to be a widespread issue. And it seems like since that has been a hot topic, a lot of universities and colleges are making a concerted effort to implement policies about stalking and how they handle that on campus. Because it's usually not considered a crime, like where the stalker goes to jail. They usually handle it administratively, like they are expelled from the college. They can implement some like protective orders on campus, that kind of thing. But it's just, it seems like the university's hands are tied kind of as far as what they can do.
Or what they're willing to do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, see, the funny thing about universities, and this is story after story I've kind of noticed, their reluctance to get ahead of some of this stuff, issues like stalking or reported date rapes or, any of these types of crimes that happen a lot on campus or around campuses, their reluctance to kind of face it head on, and it's like they're doing damage control the whole time that they're kind of dealing with the situation, almost like a tourist reliant town or something like that. It's like they want to try to help the person, but they're also always worried about the optics or the stories or the PR and all stuff like that, and that can really create a bad situation.
So what might be considered stalking on a college campus? Let's talk about this because stalking is going to play a big role in our 3 cases today that we'll be discussing. Repeatedly appearing near another student's dorm, classes, social events could be considered stalking. Following someone across campus or coincidentally showing up in shared spaces with that person.
Yeah, see, that's tricky though. It could also literally be a coincidence. You know what I mean? You could have friend groups that commingle.
Well, typically, I think you have more than just one of these, maybe incidents. If
right,
you will.
like everywhere I go, there they are, kind of thing.
Well, I think they don't just show up where you are, but I think there's other indications. Like they send unwanted messages through texts or DMs or emails. There can be excessive or almost obsessive behavior, like when it comes to engaging with a student's social media account.
Okay.
Right?
Well, that makes sense.
Waiting outside a student's classroom or dining hall, leaving unwanted notes, gifts, or items at someone's residence, vandalizing personal property, recording or surveilling someone without their knowledge or consent. So I think you don't just, in these cases, get someone who's coincidentally showing up at the library when you're there.
Oh.
I think that the stalker usually engages in multiple activities, right?
No, I understand, and what you outlined certainly would disturb me. But I do see from the administration's point of view, they do have to take into consideration that basically the whole college is one big cohabitation. So they really have to pick through this stuff and really try to figure it and make sure before, kind of they take it to the next level. But, I mean, the stuff you're describing, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that something's wrong if someone's behaving like that.
Well, today we're going to be discussing, as I mentioned, 3 cases that involve 3 separate young women who are stalked on a college campus, and the results are deadly.
Man, I wonder if I know of a case that sticks out in my mind. I'll just see if it's one of the 3.
Opal Sturgell was born September 15th of 1917 in Cherokee, Kentucky. Her family moved to Houckville, where her father was a farmer. Opal graduated from Blaine High School in 1936, and while attending high school, she was valedictorian, a member of several clubs, including the YWCA, and sang in the chapel choir. Opal went to Berea College, which is a private liberal arts school founded in 1855 by abolitionist John Gregg Fee. who had a vision of inclusivity and historic firsts. It became the first interracial and co-educational college in the American South, admitting students of all races and genders since its early days.
Wow.
Right? So pretty fairly progressive school we got going on here, right? Another unique factor about Berea College, Dylan, is the tuition promise. No student pays tuition.
Really?
The college has been covering costs since 1892.
See, how can they do that?
Now, part of this involves students committing to working at least 10 hours a week in campus jobs. It's part of their work-to-learn philosophy at Berea.
Dude, that's ingenious.
Yeah. When a student graduates, they receive not only an academic transcript, but a labor transcript that shows the hands-on experiences they received while attending the college.
Dude, that's ingenious. That model should be applied to some degree at all colleges. I mean, it's so smart. You're getting hands-on experience. I mean, instead of just studying administration or business, here's where I did the XYZ for a year. And dealt with people and dealt with the nuts and bolts.
No, it's amazing. And I've known several people who have gone to Berea, and they've all had wonderful experiences and really enjoyed, I guess, that structure of academics, but also, you get some professional experience.
Yeah, it's like you're getting an internship mixed, a real internship, not just getting people coffee, mixed with your education. It's very smart.
Despite her good academic record, Opal was reportedly nervous about attending Berea College. This was attributed to the fact that her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old George Elmo Wells, was also going to the same school.
Now, I was today years old when I realized that it's pronounced Berea and not Beret.
Okay.
I thought it was Beret.
Beret College?
Yeah.
Did you think everyone walked around with a beret?
Well, no.
Like, le fromage.
Well, maybe the very first.
Bonjour, academia.
Maybe the school elder, the founder, was fond of berets.
Où est la bibliothèque? Yeah, I don't know. Wells, who wore a very high pompadour, guy had dope ass hair.
Really?
I'm going to post a picture on Instagram. You can see his hair. Was said to resemble a young Billy Graham. Since all students were assigned a job at Berea, Wells worked as a bookbinder in the college printing department. Opal's job was to help assign work to other students. While at Berea, Opal was a member of the Alpha Pi sorority, WYCA, and Harmonia, which was a vocal group. Wells was also considered a good student until the spring term of 1937 when his grades began to drop. Wells had been a writer for the college newspaper, I should also mention. So he's doing great. His, ex-girlfriend's there. She's doing the thing. She's successful. But then, things start to not go well for Mr. Wells. Grades start slipping. Can't seem to focus. That kind of thing. Now, while they were in high school, Wells had proposed to Opal, but she had rejected him. Despite the rejection and breakup, Wells continued to pursue Opal. She did not care for his attention. Multiple people had asked Wells to stay away from Opal, including the dean of the school. His name was T.A. Hendricks. So leading up to this was an incident in 1936 when Wells threatened to kill Opal and himself if she did not marry him.
That's a hell of a proposal.
And even after they had broken up in high school, he had gone off to college. He's older than her, so he's at college before. Throughout this time, he remains possessive and jealous.
Yeah, he's like, I'll love you or kill you, bitch.
Now, after he's being confronted by Dean Hendricks, Wells promised that he would straighten up his act. And although he vowed he would stay away from Opal, he could not seem to let go of her.
Now, what state of mind do you have to be in to even talk to someone you allegedly love in such a threatening manner? It's crazy that people think that would be okay or would work.
Well, I don't know. Earlier, I told you I would stab you in the eye with my son's s'mores fork.
Yeah. That's just let me know that you love me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You love me so much you would go to jail. Basically, that's what that's saying.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a bold statement.
It's true.
It warms my heart.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need a little motivation.
That's how you motivate me?
Threatening you with a s'mores
Bodily harm.
Yeah.
Gets me going.
Oh, come on. You know, we're just joking around. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I when you left, you said that as you passed through the room, I hit all sharp objects. So.
Okay. Well, it's probably smart for you.
Let's just keep kidding.
A poem found in his rented apartment ended up in the college's special collections and archives. This is after, I guess, after our case unfolds.
Okay.
And a lot of people were like, why did this end up there? But I'm guessing it's because maybe he had that position on the school newspaper. And I guess was considered, kind of like a shining star on the school paper kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Right? I don't know. Let me read this poem to you, Dylan. To a lady. Where flowers bloom along the road of life, the wary traveler breathes their fragrance sweet and thus forgets his daily toil and strife. All petals hold within their form so clear a beauty which opens eyes may see and find that they in all their glory are reflections of the greater reality.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Oh.
Thou art a blooming flower in spring, Dylan, whose loveliness is glorious divine. They radiant glow and cheerful smiles may bring to someone happiness and joy sublime, and courage great to help him be true along the path made beautiful by you. Okay, now I'm done.
Your love is the bee that pollinates my heart. I just add some. So look, I'm no poetry buff. You know more. You've been exposed to more poems. Do you think, what kind of merit do you give it? What is this good?
No.
Or is this someone trying too hard to write poetry?
Nah, this is like sad boy poetry. No, it's not that.
It's like Weezer poetry?
I don't really think it's that good.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Sounds like a greeting card.
Let our love bloom in the sunshine of life.
Oh, look at this shoebox greeting I found from the Hallmark selections. Yeah, no. Opal had moved on by late summer of 1937. So at this point, she's completely done with Wells. She's had no interest in him for quite a while. And now she's moving on because she'd met another young man named Bill Anderson, who was from Walnut Grove, Kentucky. They started a courting, Dylan. On Sunday, August 15th, around 7:15 p.m. in the evening, Opal and Bill sat in front of Phelps Stokes Chapel. It was their third date, and while sitting together, Wells made contact with Opal twice. So here she is, hanging out with the new guy. They're just sort of sitting out in front of the chapel on campus. And here comes Wells, 2 different times.
Oh, my God.
Trying to get her attention.
Dude, it's lame. Let it go, dude.
First, he asked to speak to her in private, and she told him no. He said, quote, Opal, I want to see you. I'm sure your buddy won't object. It is on important business.
Oh, my gosh.
Come over here and discuss this important business with me. I have a poem for you, you blooming spring flower, damn it. Bill Anderson told Wells, of course I don't object, but Opal's like, no way, I'm not speaking to you. Get lost, creep.
Oh, so
beat it, creep.
Given the time period, you know what I mean? There's like this back and forth between the men almost, you know what I'm saying? Like her saying the first time she says no, I'm not nope, no thanks. Bill, you might be a nice guy and all, but we don't need you to be like, I don't object. You should be follow your lady's lead and be like, hey, you scap-rallion or scamp, get out of here.
What'd you call him?
A scap-rallion.
What's that?
I don't know.
Just a word you made up?
Sounds like something they'd say back then.
I almost thought you were calling him like a scallion. And
yeah.
I was like, ooh, why is he an onion?
No, but in good manners, Bill has to, Oh, of course I do not object.
Then again, Wells asks Opal to step aside to speak with him. She refuses a second time. Opal then tells Wells anything he had to say to her could be said in front of Anderson. Wells persists, and finally he says, well, if that's the way you want to feel about it, okay, but you may be sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then he read that poem.
I'm really sorry about this poem I just heard. After he appeared to go, Opal explained to Anderson that, quote, he's been following me around for a year and I haven't been able to get rid of him. During this time, the couple began lingering on the steps in front of the chapel. Opal expressed her fear of Wells, and at the time, Anderson didn't really suspect there was any ill will between Opal and this ex-boyfriend, right? I mean, he's like, there doesn't seem to be like they hate each other, but she obviously doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah, maybe he's not the quickest one in the drawer. I mean,
what? These Dylanisms, the quickest one in the drawer?
Yeah. No, I'm saying, dude, she's telling you, describing, trying to get this guy away from her. She wants nothing to do with him, right? For over a year. And you don't see, you know, and she's, I don't know. It seems pretty obvious
well, and who knows, because back then I'm sure this was relayed in polite terminology.
Well,
right?
that's true.
That might not have really been able to truly express the nature of the situation.
I've grown weary of his company.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
I mean, who knows? It's the 30s. A few minutes later, the couple left walking. Now, a walk was one of the only options for like things to do on campus during a weekend at this time. Around 7:45, the pair passed by Lincoln Hall, and that's when Wells appeared from behind some bushes. Wells shoved Anderson, then stepped in between him and Opal. He grabbed Opal by the shoulder, pressed a .22 caliber pistol against her left chest, and fired one shot.
Damn.
With this, she grabbed for Anderson. Anderson swung between Opal and Wells just as she fell into his arms. Anderson attempted to carry Opal away and told Wells to leave her alone. Wells pushed Anderson again and fired 2 more shots at Opal's chest. Wells then hit Anderson over the head with a pistol before fleeing the scene.
Please, sir, you've done enough. I mean, take this guy down.
12-year-old Tom McHone was on his way to see a movie with a cousin, so they were walking on campus that evening. In 1994, McHone told the Richmond Register, quote, I'll never forget seeing it. These 2 young men and this young lady were arguing or talking. We thought they were horsing around like college students do very often. After the shooting, she was over this wire, maybe 6 to 8 inches high on her back. She was in agony. She was screaming, and the blood, I remember, was pumping out of the heart as she was twisting around. Now, McHone would later become a professor at Eastern Kentucky University. Wells ran past these 2 boys to escape, and McHone recalled as Wells ran kind of through, he could feel Wells's hand on his shoulder. McHone was haunted for years about this brush with a killer.
Well, yeah. I mean, you literally witnessed him kill someone.
McHone, would later storm the beaches of Normandy, would fight in the Battle of the Bulge and help liberate Buchenwald concentration camp, said that Opal's murder was the worst thing he'd ever seen.
Damn.
Even after experiencing those horrors.
The Battle of the freaking Bulge? Concentration camps?
D-Day?
That's the big shit, dude.
Yeah.
And still, that traumatized him more, or very powerfully.
Well, yeah, I imagine
murder.
that would really hit any 12-year-old pretty hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're young, you're in civilian life, you know, you're in just everyday life. You know, they probably walked through that campus a million times as kids.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you know, they would never expect something like this.
Soon, 4 other college students helped flag down a passing car and took Opal to the Berea College Hospital. Sadly, she died there within a few minutes of the shooting. Police immediately began a search of the campus and surrounding areas, patrolling all local roads. Wells, as far as they knew, had only the clothes on his back and possibly a few dollars in his pocket. I mean, let's face it, Dylan, there was likely no kind of black ops created, escape plan ahead of the shooting.
Right.
I mean, they kind of felt like it was maybe not premeditated. It was more like quick, and then he runs.
Well, he did have a gun on him, so I mean, I don't know how common that is.
Well, yeah, but it also sounds like he kind of left and came back a couple of different times. So maybe after she refused the conversation, he went to get the gun.
Oh, okay. Good point.
A reward was offered for information leading to Wells' arrest. His father, John Wells, made an emotional plea for his son to turn himself in, but despite these efforts, there was no sign of George Wells. A posse was formed. Now, I love any story where there's a posse.
Yeah.
I always want to form a posse.
I think we should bring the posses back.
A posse was formed that included lawmen, students, and citizens. Everyone wanted to take action. They scoured fields and farms looking for Wells, but there was no trace of this man found, dead or alive. John Wells feared his son had killed himself after the shooting. The community feared the killer had gotten away scot-free. But how had he evaded police and managed to escape so quickly? Police Chief Earl Hayes speculated that Wells had gotten a ride on a passing train or maybe hitchhiked out of town. A farmer reported on August 18th seeing a young man matching Wells' description. The man, G.B. Angel said, had ran across his barnyard and then vanished into a cornfield.
G.B. Angel.
G.B. Angel, yes.
It's a great name.
So he sees him run across the barnyard and then vanish into this cornfield. Oddly enough, 2 days later, police in Portland, Maine made a discovery. Someone had left a Berea College laundry check in an abandoned car. So it was like somebody who had gotten a check from, I guess, this laundry.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like they worked there, and I'm not sure if he worked there or I don't know all the details.
Maybe it was a voucher to use the laundry or something.
Yeah, maybe. Well, again, police were baffled because they were like, and the car had Georgia plates. So that was like the other part of it. Like, did this have anything to do with George Wells? But they were like, how did he get so far away so fast?
Right.
And in this potentially, stolen vehicle? Like, Georgia, where did he get this car?
Well, travel back then was still quite a bit more difficult than it is nowadays.
Well, yeah, and Kentucky to Maine, I mean, that's a pretty good distance.
Yeah, I mean, did we even have interstates at that point?
Probably. No, this is the 30s.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're talking back roads.
And those old cars.
Dirt roads.
Were not the most comfortable.
No.
They didn't get the best gas mileage. They
didn't go very fast.
Yes, all the things.
I mean, you're talking literal paths and dirt roads and maybe the occasional, I don't know. I don't even know how much paved roads was back then, honestly.
By 1939, law enforcement was still following tips to track down George Wells. The sheriff of Madison County and a deputy went to West Virginia after receiving information that Wells might be holed up there. Although there is no statute of limitations on murder, George Wells was never found. He never answered for the cruel murder of Opal Sturgell, and until this day, the case remains unsolved.
Damn. George got away with it.
Yeah.
You know, hopping a train probably was one of maybe the better, quicker ways he could have gotten out of there.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Or a canoe.
Or like that story we did on that dumb criminal got in the kayak and like paddled across the pond and cops were on both sides waiting for him.
Maybe he built a Tom Sawyer style raft. He was like, yeah, let's have an adventure after we did this. I don't know.
Yeah, recently in the headlines, I don't know if you remember when this happened, but a guy faked his own death kayaking.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then it wasn't that long ago. And
no, I believe, discussed that several times.
But they found him in
our midweek
Uganda
update.
Or Ukraine or some shit with like another woman.
Yeah.
What a dick.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Moving along, Dylan. Now we're more in the present, if you will. In May of 2004, Cary, North Carolina resident Jessica Faulkner was preparing to go home for the summer. The University of North Carolina Wilmington student had been living in Cornerstone Hall, and at the beginning of the school year, Jessica had met another resident named Curtis Dixon. The two were part of the same friend group. So I remember this, like the end of the spring semester, everybody's preparing to go home for the summer. You're saying goodbye to your friends. You're kind of having those last minute hangouts.
Right.
See each other as much as possible before you head off in your different directions. And in 2004, I mean, there was internet, but people were not, I feel like, as connected as they are today. There was still a bit of work. You had to actually take steps to communicate with your friends, right? Via phone call. There was text messaging, but I don't feel like it was as prevalent as it is today.
Well, no, you're talking.
And there were very few like social media platforms at this time. There would have been MySpace.
Yeah, I mean, you could get on the internet, but that's something you did. You had to go get on the internet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
This is the time of like AOL Instant
and
Messenger.
PCs and personal computers, and it's not in your pocket. It's just, it's a different time.
So Jessica's part of this friend group with this guy named Curtis Dixon. Little did Faulkner or anyone else know, but Curtis Dixon had lied on his enrollment application, gaining entry under fraudulent circumstances. He had had a misdemeanor larceny conviction. Dixon was also released from the U.S. Navy's boot camp due to homicidal and suicidal tendencies.
Okay.
James Dixon, his father, worked as an assistant chancellor at UNC Charlotte and falsified his son's academic and attendance records, I should say, in order for his son to get into this college.
Instead of addressing that your son has homicidal and suicidal tendencies on his record? Or ideations, however you want to say it.
Right. So let's talk about Jessica. She was born September 24th in 1985 in Fontana, California. Jessica was described as an animal lover with a kind and thoughtful disposition. She was a voracious reader and dreamed about faraway places. She loved travel. The more exotic the location, the better. In 1993, Jessica's family moved to Cary, North Carolina, where she was a student at Swift Creek, Carnage Middle School, and Enloe High School. Due to Jessica's advanced placement classes, she had earned enough credits to achieve sophomore status as a freshman at the college.
Nice.
While at UNCW, Jessica planned to major in anthropology. So here we have the last day of school. When Jessica's supposed to be headed home, she's found strangled inside her dorm room.
Oh, my God.
Now, it didn't take long for law enforcement to connect 21-year-old Dixon with the murder, and we'll get to that. He had invited Faulkner to a second-floor room in Cornerstone Hall to give her a gift, which was a DVD movie. And though they had been friends kind of over this course of time, Jessica had begun to distance herself from Curtis, telling other friends that she thought he was increasingly creepy.
I thought he was going to give her a mixed CD.
No.
A burnt CD.
Well, unfortunately, that's not what he did. When Faulkner arrived at Dixon's room, he hit her over the head with a club. The blackjack had been on his desk, and Dixon would tell detectives that he had the opportunity to think, quote, I could give her this gift or pick up and use the weapon.
Okay.
After that, Dixon strangled Faulkner. He then raped her and injected her with hydrocodone.
Yeah, and later he told investigators, I thought to myself, I could either get her medical help or I could rape her and kill her.
Afterwards, he placed Jessica Faulkner into his bed until the next morning. That's when John Faulkner receives a phone call from Curtis Dixon, who confesses, I've murdered your daughter.
Damn.
John Faulkner contacts campus police twice, but nothing is being done. He doesn't know if this guy's kidding. Is his daughter okay? Like, what's going on? He can't get any information. So as a parent living some distance away and you get this phone call, I mean, this guy's freaking out. He is so panicked and can't get any answers.
So you're telling me you can call a college and say that someone just called me and told me they murdered my daughter. And they're like, well, what do you want us to do about it?
It just seems like they were very slow moving to do anything. So he finally calls 911, speaks with an emergency dispatcher who informed him that there was a search for a suspect at this point. Like, we do have people out there looking.
So they're aware of it. They are making an effort.
But Faulkner could be heard telling the operator that he didn't give a damn about the suspect. He needed an updated status on his daughter. I mean, this poor man was in an absolute state of chaos.
Well, yeah. How could you not be?
Shock. And probably, I mean, didn't really know what to believe, right? And you're getting no answers. I mean, gosh, this has to be the worst. Now, after the phone call, Dixon surrendered to law enforcement, made a confession, and even reenacted the crime for detectives. He told investigators that Jessica was not the original target. Curtis admitted that he had purchased a blackjack, a stun gun, a knife, and some duct tape, which he had planned to use in a murder plot. The target was actually Jessica's boyfriend who lived in Raleigh.
Oh my gosh.
Now, Dixon was not only charged with Jessica's murder, but also kidnapping, rape, and another unspecified sex act. On May 4th, so let's get into kind of what led up to this. So on May 4th, Jessica had been hanging out in Curtis's room with a group of friends. They had gone to dinner together and then afterwards returned to Cornerstone Hall, the dorm. In Dixon's room, they were listening to music, they were playing video games, and had a bit of a going away party, for this friend group.
Right.
Exams were over and the students enjoyed blowing off a little steam before they left school the next day. The gathering ended around 11 p.m. and everyone agreed they would meet for breakfast the following morning to say their goodbyes before summer break. Now, a short time after Jessica returned to her dorm room that evening, she began receiving instant messages from Curtis Dixon. In these messages, Dixon continued begging Jessica to return to his room. So the next morning, after sleeping for 7 hours with Jessica bound in bed, deceased, Curtis went to breakfast with their mutual friends. When asked where Jessica was, Curtis told them that he was pretty sure she was still packing and probably wasn't going to join them. In addition to calling John Faulkner that morning, so after he has breakfast with his friends, then that's when he makes this phone call.
I mean, what kind of this guy's a monster for you to be able to do this to someone. And then go have breakfast and just be normal.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you're a monster.
He also telephones a friend who lives in Raleigh and confesses what he had done to Jessica. Curtis Dixon, we got to talk about him a little bit. So he had been in and out of public schools as a child. In 2000, he dropped out of high school, finishing as a homeschool student the following year. And although his application to UNCW stated he was a first-time student, Curtis Dixon had actually attended 2 other colleges, including the North Carolina School of the Arts, as well as UNC Charlotte. Dixon, while a freshman at UNCW, had not declared a major, but was part of this what they called learning community program, which allowed students to take smaller classes, some of which had been held in the room where Faulkner's life was cruelly snuffed out. So it sounds like they kind of did these little classes kind of in students' rooms. It might be a more casual learning environment.
Okay.
It seems from their introduction, Curtis had become obsessed with Jessica Faulkner. He had asked her out multiple times, but she rejected him. Jessica had a boyfriend back home, after all. Along the way, Curtis changed classes so that he could be closer to Jessica. He even enrolled in a summer trip to Belize. Jessica had been really looking forward to this trip, but felt uneasy learning that Curtis was now planning to go.
Yeah, she didn't want to be around this guy.
No. The first ever murder on UNCW campus prompted the UNC system to make changes to its admission policies. They also addressed stalking issues on campus and overall safety for students. Chancellor Rosemary DiPaolo said Dixon wouldn't have been accepted to the university if several pieces of information had not been omitted from or falsely reported on his enrollment application. And though Jessica had made complaints to her mother and father and several friends about this kind of perceived stalking, she told everybody, "I can handle it. I got this. You know, I'm going to let him know. I'm going to nip this in the bud.
Damn it. So it sounds like in the beginning or up until the murder, honestly, that he was just kind of a nuisance.
Yeah.
Pestering her. You know, she's like, oh my gosh, maybe she might leave a space sooner than she wanted because he shows up. But it doesn't sound like she was scared. And see, that's the scary part about stalking, because it has all these different levels. And then even if the people are being just way over the top, the system is always, be it the police, university, whatever, friends, family, everyone's so slow to react to this typically.
Or like, don't take it seriously.
They don't take it seriously.
Through interviews, law enforcement learned that Jessica was a gentle soul who did not like confrontation. She would rather be uncomfortable in situations than hurt someone's feelings. So it seemed in a lot of these incidents when she would prefer not to be around Curtis Dixon, she would kind of just suck it up and be around him, you know, simply because he was part of the group.
Damn.
According to reports, Curtis Dixon told investigators he considered coming out of the dorm room with a knife so that police would shoot him. Then he asked one of the officers, quote, "Will you do me a favor and shoot me? If it was your daughter, wouldn't you kill me?" On December 7th of 2004, while incarcerated at Polk Youth Institute awaiting trial, Curtis Dixon broke away from guards and jumped 3 stories from a staircase, landing on his head.
Really?
He was in critical condition before being removed from life support 2 days later. He died shortly after on December 9th, 2004. Now, in the aftermath, Jessica's father filed a lawsuit against UNCW for failing to recognize Curtis Dixon as a deeply troubled young man who should have never been admitted to the college. Tom Goolsby, an attorney representing Faulkner, said, quote, "There was notice upon notice upon notice that nobody acted on. He's in a setting with all these other innocent, law-abiding kids, and nobody knows what a time bomb they have living among them."
Well, I'm afraid the college didn't even know from what I'm hearing, but I feel like a lot of responsibility is on his father for falsifying his records.
Absolutely. But, you know, this really brought up a discussion of, like, how intense should these background checks be on college students?
Right.
Should they run criminal background checks on them? Do you take the application at face value?
Is there any follow-up or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
James E. Dixon III, Curtis's father, was charged with common law forgery and was fined $1,000 for his role in filing a fraudulent application for his son.
So I guess inside the law, you know, the letter of the law, they did what they could, but there's just, I think he should have had, he certainly had more responsibility for this. I mean, anytime these are serious things that you're covering up in your son's past.
Yes.
And maybe you should just get your son some help and admit that he's got a problem instead of trying to, you know, whitewash it and, you know, just shove him through the university system.
Yeah, we'll just keep getting you into different colleges.
Because you don't want to deal with it or can't admit it to yourself. And look what happened.
Well, Dylan, to add insult to injury, we have another student murdered at UNCW within a month of Jessica Faulkner's
Really?
murder. Yes. This occurred on June 4th of 2004. 21-year-old UNCW student Christen Naujoks was shot and killed inside her North Chase apartment building. John Peck, another student, was upset about the relationship ending. They had been a couple. He shot Naujoks 8 to 12 times. After her death, a 3-day manhunt ended when investigators found him at the North Carolina-Tennessee state line. This is when a park ranger made contact with him. Roadblocks were set up, and when Peck approached one of the roadblocks, he fired at officers. They found Peck's 4Runner had been rolled down into the steep ravine and was resting in a creek, and it was later confirmed that Peck had a SKS assault rifle and had taken his own life before the vehicle rolled down into the ravine. So this occurred just past Newfound Gap, about 7 miles from Cherokee, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Christen. She was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1982. She grew up in a very tight-knit family of 4, especially close to her mother, Holly. She had a large collection of cats and was a true animal lover growing up. She spent summers on the water and loved marine life. Studying marine biology was her dream, so in 2001, Christen left Ohio for UNC-Wilmington, nestled on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Because Christen was so close to her family, there was an adjustment period. She was quite homesick and lonely, and she expressed this to her mother. She also had hoped maybe she would meet someone.
Okay.
Like, hey, maybe if I get a boyfriend, a romantic partner, it'll make me feel a little bit better. So she was kind of looking for a relationship. While working part-time at a local pet store, Christen met a coworker named John Peck. He was also a student at the college. He was tall, handsome, and everything she wanted. So Christen really thought she'd hit the jackpot. And he was a very handsome guy. Now, at first, he swept Christen off her feet. He bought her flowers, gifts, lavished her with attention, which is really, what she was craving, being so far away from home.
Well, yeah, I think it's only natural.
A romantic at heart, Christen was drawn to his southern charm and thoughtfulness. He would plan picnics on the beach, these really, thoughtful, considerate dates. And she felt like they were really romantic dates, so it was kind of everything she had wanted. Within months, they were deeply in love. As time progressed, John started just degrading Christen. He would complain that her breasts were too small, but then make comments about her big butt and thighs. And he would do this anytime she was eating.
Oh, well, there's so much wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell him that everything he's talking smack to her about, there's, 10,000 other people who would love those attributes of hers.
Okay, Dylan, we get it. You like big butts and thighs.
No, I'm just saying
You others can't deny. When a
Well,
girl
you know
walks
what?
in with an itty bitty waist and a round one in your face, you get sprung.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, I'm saying some guy out there is a perfect woman has small breasts and big butts and big thighs. But we all know when someone does this to someone,
just tearing them down.
They're insecure.
And they want to destroy the other person's
They're a
self-esteem.
piece of shit, and they are threatened in some manner, either afraid of losing or being one-upped or outshone by somebody, and they're just a real big old piece of shit. Recently I heard someone do this to somebody, and it just really made me think, really just all of a sudden talk to them in a very mean, horrible way. And that's just a terrible thing to do. You know what I mean?
You heard someone do this?
Well, I heard of someone. We heard of someone who did this.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Without telling someone's business. But it really made me think, how could you do that? That's just such a cruel...
How could you say these terrible, just awful things to someone that you were supposedly in love with?
Yeah, just
that you
the
married,
meanest...
that you are in this... you're in a marriage with this person. How could you talk to him like that? No,
yeah.
I totally know what you mean.
It's just the ultimate, and the betrayal on top of the meanness and cruelty. My gosh. I could never do this to someone.
Well, Christen shrugged it off in the beginning, but, come on, the words hurt. Even if he's like, oh, I'm just joking, I'm just picking at you. It hurt her feelings. The pair soon began arguing regularly. John didn't like Christen's friends and only wanted to associate with his friend group. It's classic control by an abusive partner. Isolating. He would also make fun of her relationship with Holly, her mother. John saw her mother as competition, and he didn't want Christen taking advice from anyone else or valuing anyone's opinion or anybody else having any kind of power or
input,
really. Yeah, that's a good word.
Okay, this guy's sounds like a real winner.
After a year of bullying and possessiveness, Christen decided she was going to end things. She had planned to travel home for spring break in Ohio, and she told him, I'm going alone. This is when he launches the threat that something could happen to her cat while she was gone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he loosely threatened to kill her cat. Christen breaks up with him. Now, a few days later, he calls her parents' house and tells her he shot his pet bird. I mean, it's just nuts. And she's thinking, what the hell? Like, this is an animal that you've said you loved and cared for.
Yeah, you shot it for no reason.
You shot and killed your bird. Like, what the hell? And he tells her, well, the bird didn't die right away, so I got some salt and rubbed it in its wounds.
All right.
Well, of course, she's freaked out and thinking, what a psycho, because let's be honest, he is a psycho. John is clearly dangerous. Holly refuses to allow her daughter to return to Wilmington alone and joins her. When they arrive at Christen's apartment, they get 17 disturbing messages left by John, I'm assuming on like voicemail or an answering machine.
Is that all? 17.
And they're very offensive, very vulgar, like just really horrific, gross messages. A concerned Holly called campus police. They suggested that Christen make a report with the New Hanover County Sheriff's Department since she lived off campus. Christen had received harassing phone calls from Peck, who had threatened suicide. The police also told her to save any documentation, such as phone calls or messages, that this would kind of help her get something done. They told her the different options of warrants she could file and how to get a protective order, and that some of this documentation would be good in court, to show what he's been doing. John Peck did have prior run-ins with law enforcement. In November of 2001, he pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault and 2 felony counts of crimes against nature, a sex offense. He was originally charged with first-degree rape, but pleaded down to the lesser charges.
Yeah, well, here you go. Oh, same old song and dance. Chance to put this guy in jail for real.
So, of course, like, when Holly and Christen find out, Christen's like, what the hell? Like, I had no idea I was dating a sexual predator.
Yeah.
A sex offender. A guy who's been convicted, charged with rape and convicted.
Rape's top 3 of murder, molestation, and rape. That's the top 3 terrible things.
Larry Peck, John's father, was a former law enforcement officer, and he soon contacted Holly, Christen's mother, to say, like, look, I'm going to try to get a grasp of the situation. I can control my son. He knew that John was stalking Christen, and Larry said he would try to get John to leave them alone. John stops showing up at the apartment and sends 2 cards apologizing to Holly and to Christen. Larry is no stranger to his son's troubling behavior, so again, he thinks he can fix it, because I guess in the past he was able to fix his son's bad behavior or get him to stop or whatever.
Try to manage it, if you will.
Yeah. Now, over the next couple weeks, Christen reported a confrontation in a parking lot on campus and was able to get an emergency order and several warrants against Peck. He had shown up after after she had gotten out of class and blocked her kind of in a parking space and would not let her leave. So it was like holding her there against her will.
Yeah, it's kidnapping.
And like banging on the car and trying to get her out of the car. Yeah, she was terrified.
And she already has an order of protection at this point? Or that's when she got the order?
This is when she gets the order of protection. He also physically assaulted her during this time. So, like, he reaches in the car and, is like choking her and just being a crazy person.
See, this right here it doesn't take some kind of law scholar to figure out what we need to do in situations like this, because they always escalate, right? There's always tiers to it, right? It starts out, they're showing up where they're coincidentally showing up all the time, and it just keeps going.
Look at that, I bumped into you.
Yeah, and then they're told, a lot of times told, hey, I don't want to be around you. It's kind of all comes out. And then it gets physical, and then it gets, or you get the threatening messages, blah, blah, blah. And then physical altercation in person.
Yeah.
And see, when
just keeps escalating.
When there's that proof of escalation, I think there should be a hard line during that escalation. Right?
I agree.
And the cops are right when they say there's not much we can do. That's because the way this needs to be legislated. This needs a special stalker laws and conditions put in place by Congress, by the federal government. And we could do something. There should be an escalation law.
Well, we've experienced.
Yeah.
In our marriage, we have experienced a stalker. We have had this happen. We have been stalked and harassed by an individual. We did get protective orders. How many did we have? We've had like two or three protective orders against this person.
I'll ask you, how many mostly dead women had protective orders when they were killed? They're not worth shit.
Right. So we had multiple protective orders. This person continued like escalating, driving by our house,
seeking us out,
trying
to find where we
to
are,
parties and cookouts where we were, even though they were uninvited, just showing up,
move counties away.
And it was a lot, I felt like I couldn't go anywhere without looking over my shoulder. I would be walking Rufus down the sidewalk near our house, and this person would drive by and shout things out the window at me. I mean, it was nuts. And I felt afraid, and I'm pretty sure you did too, right? Because we were like, what the hell?
Well, it's just I'm certainly not trying to, say, but I know how these people feel because I've had it happen to a pretty good degree, enough to where the person was unstable enough. I wasn't sure what they were capable of.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, it's one of the reasons we relocated.
So with this, what I was getting at, my point was with the whole story of our stalking experience.
Yo, bitch, find me now.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Find my foot in your ass.
Damn. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to start anything up for anyone hearing this.
Man, she's too dumb to find her way down here.
Dumb bitch.
She's too dumb to find us. Okay, so she would violate this restraining order like multiple times.
Yeah.
And every time I would call the police, they would tell me like, go to the courthouse.
It's civil or something dumb like that.
Let them know she's violated.
And they'll have a show for calls. They'll give her a court date.
They'll give her a court date. Instead of just saying, no, she's violated this, we're locking her ass up and putting her in jail.
There you go.
They just, she'll be violated, and then there'll be a court hearing about it.
Let's say this.
Every time.
If she want to go far as these stalkers that you've described today, or are still describing, she had ample opportunity. She had all the room in the world to do it. And the legal system does nothing to stop it.
Yeah. I mean, if anything,
truly doesn't.
I felt like, treated us badly. I mean, we were victims, and I felt like we were treated very poorly by law enforcement.
Well, like you're trash, and they don't want to be dealing with it. If anything, it only emboldens. I think it emboldens people like this.
One of the last times she came by our house, she's blocking the road, which is a main thoroughfare, screaming obscenities at us while we're relaxing on our porch.
Yeah.
I call the police because she's blocking traffic. She's creating a scene. She's right outside our house. Call police. And when they come, they speak to her, but the officer didn't even come, like, have a communication with me.
No.
And I ended up complaining because I'm like, you didn't have a communication with me or allow me to explain to you the history with this woman, that we've got these active, protective order in place, that we've had multiple protective orders, that there's been, multiple calls involving her, threats and whatever. But it's like they didn't even care. Like,
nope.
So she could have come back, shot, killed us, and nothing. I mean, it would have just been like, oh, well, that's too bad.
And it's the same thing that domestic violence victims deal with. I mean, it really needs to be addressed, honestly. And I know people talk about
it's
it
a jacked up system
all the time, but I mean, it really needs to, it could really help and protect and make so many people feel safe.
They need to overhaul it. Well, the more that Christen tried to pull away, distance herself, put up these like roadblocks, John seemed to grow even more obsessed with her.
That's how these people react.
Yeah. Christen feels like she's always in John's sights, no matter where she goes. John's in the bushes watching, and these people love to hide in bushes. It's really strange.
I'm telling you, the stories that bushes could tell.
Yeah. He follows her around campus. He sits outside the apartment. Christen is a nervous wreck. She can't concentrate. She starts failing her classes, making bad grades. With the protection order in place, John does cease the behavior, but Christen is still on edge.
Well, I think step one is to get rid of all the bushes
But
around.
kind of no news is not good news. You know what I mean? Because, like, what is he up to?
Yeah, that's what's so messed up about it is once you're unsettled like this, and I'm sure even more so in these cases, it doesn't just go away. You know what I mean?
No.
That feeling of looking over your shoulder, even for a cussing confrontation in public,
Well, that's the thing. It's super scary, but it's also, like, humiliating.
it's all
I mean,
that.
if you're just doing your thing and someone shows up and they're yelling obscenities and vulgarities at you and threatening you, I mean, even though you're not doing anything wrong, you're the victim. I mean, it's still really embarrassing for all these people to know what's going on and
Or
to
just
see
to-
this. And
Yeah, be part of that.
right? I mean, nobody wants to have that experience. After Jessica Faulkner's murder, Christen grows increasingly frightened. She kind of lost it. On the phone with her mother, Christen was telling her, the system has failed. Jessica, what's it going to do to protect me?
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of it in the aftermath of this other stalking murder, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Holly called a reporter in Wilmington. She explained the situation that was going on with her daughter and how the school didn't really seem to be doing much to protect students from stalkers. She was shocked when the reporter pulled up John's criminal record and they realized again that he was a convicted criminal for sexual crime. Despite asking the reporter to keep their identities anonymous, the guy said it was too late and the publication had already gone to print. So this story gets printed in the paper. John's name is printed and his background, they expose his criminal record.
I think this is...
The story also makes the local TV station and radio newscasts.
Do you think this is unethical from a journalistic point of view?
I do. And at that point, Christen fears her life is seriously in danger because with John's criminal record being exposed and made public, everybody knowing what's going on, he's on blast. He really doesn't have anything to lose at this point.
No, it's only going to inflame the situation. That's not a good move by the reporter.
After this story was printed, 5 days pass with no word from John. Finally, she's feeling safe enough to maybe leave the house, do some shopping. Maybe this is what it takes to get him to leave her alone.
Well, maybe she's thinking just the public exposure is like his dirty secrets out there. Maybe everyone knows the situation, and maybe he'll just leave her alone now.
She finally feels safe enough to go shopping. So on June 4th, she has gone to the mall to pick up a birthday present, I think for her mom. And she arrives back at the apartment building around 9:45. John pulls up immediately. So it was pretty clear he had followed her to the mall, had, waited, and then followed her back to the apartment.
Okay.
Right? As she's getting out of her Ford Focus, she's got her hands, kind of full of bags and stuff. And that's when he reaches in the truck and pulls out a rifle. So as she sees John, she starts screaming and runs away. She's trying to knock on neighbors' doors, screaming, help, help, help. She finally manages, it sounds like, to get kind of inside the apartment building. And as she's inside the apartment building, he blasts multiple shots. Like I said, 8 to 12 shots.
Damn.
The last one being right in the face.
From a rifle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then he goes on the lam. Now, at his home, law enforcement found a voice recorder that had a full confession for police. One of the lines on this recording said, "If I can't have her, no one will."
That's
the
a classic
cliche statement
Yeah, but when these people mean
by an
that,
abusive psycho piece of crap.
they mean that. They will make sure that literally if they can't be with you, that they'll make sure that no one else can be. And it's so scary.
They also found, this is interesting, Dylan, a wig, female clothing and makeup, which suggested that perhaps he had disguised himself as a woman as part of his escape plan. Because remember, there's a manhunt for him. He's on the run. There was also a map with directions to the Naujoks home in Ohio. Like he was perhaps planning to go there.
The what?
The family's home, Christen's family's home.
Oh, okay.
Their last name is Naujoks.
Okay.
So it was directions to their home.
I got you. That's a fancy last name. I thought he was going to the Vanderbilt estate.
Now, after being spotted in Asheville, North Carolina, he was then seen in Johnson City, Tennessee. In some of these surveillance videos, it shows him in stores buying camping gear, cook stove, tent, sleeping bag.
Oh, so possibly he's going to hit the old Appalachian Trail or something?
Possibly. So then there's an all points bulletin that's sent out across the state. And that's how the park ranger recognized John Peck when he caught him camping illegally in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And that's, he confronted him. And then that's when John, is on the run, gets in a roadblock, shoots at cops, then drives off a cliff, kills himself.
Damn.
Yeah. Christen's murder was featured on Lifetime Movie Network in a program called Campus Nightmares. The case was also picked up for Stalked Someone's Watching. I did check out that episode. Christen's father told the program, quote, "Statistically, your child won't get murdered on a college campus. It won't happen to us. But until it happens to you, you don't pay attention to it and you don't realize until it's too late."
Wow.
So 3 tales of stalking turned deadly.
Gosh, wow. You were starting September off with a bang. These are terrible stories.
Yes.
And in every case, I feel like the system could have done more to protect these victims, as per usual. How do you plead down first-degree rape?
Right.
How do you plead down any of these terrible crimes? I don't want to hear... now when the victims say, or victim's family don't want to go through it, and that's the only part of that I will respect. But the rest of it, cost, time, effort, winning percentages, all that shit can go, but the victims obviously get to choose. If they don't want to go through that, I understand. But so many times, for so many reasons, these people get let off these very serious charges. That could have protected other people. He should go to jail then. You should go to jail then. Now, I understand courts and evidence. You got to prove it. But, there's always these patterns, always these patterns every time until you get to the point of murder and then, self-suicide or whatever.
That's the thing I find really interesting about these 3 cases, Dylan. When you look at them, you've got 1937 and 2004. And the similarities, it's like some things never change, right? And in the 2004, the 2 cases, both perpetrators committed suicide. And it's speculated that George Wells may have killed himself back in the 1930s.
That's why he disappeared, never to be seen again.
That's why he disappeared. So I do think it's interesting that these stalkers will take your life and then take their own life.
Yeah, because they're cowards.
It's like a murder-suicide.
They're cowards. They'll kill the person they profess to love more than life itself, and then they can't even face the consequences of their actions after that. So, then they'll kill themselves.
It is very cowardly.
Or, I'm sorry, unalive.
Yeah. We are going to get a sensitivity officer for the podcast. Can edit out all the inappropriate things we say.
No, we're not.
Sanitize it. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're still going to say fuck a lot.
Yes. But, we haven't said fuck a whole lot lately.
Well, I just said it. Fuck.
So, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck.
All right. So, thank you for that. And thanks again to our new patron.
Mallory?
Well, I was pointing to you. I was wanting you to come in there and say, Mallory.
Okay.
Thanks for supporting us in this episode.
Yeah, keep listening all month long. We are going to have cases like the ones you heard today, college campuses, high school students, maybe even some young kids.
Oh my gosh.
Committing crimes.
No.
among their student body. So yeah, you don't want to miss those. And you don't want to miss any of the episodes on the Darkcast Network. Period, Dylan. Period, as the kids say, with like a T on the end.
They used to say that.
I can never, yeah.
That's so 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not cool. Darkcast has so many amazing podcasts, and they've recently had a few new join along. So if you're looking for like indie podcasts, true crime, horror, paranormal, creepy stuff, Darkcast has you covered. And Darkcast is going to be doing this really cool thing heading into the Halloween season, Dylan. They're going to have kind of a little like Halloween podcast marathon where multiple podcasts involved with the Darkcast Network are going to record like these different, Halloween kind of related shows.
Okay.
They're going to be like short episodes. They'll be little mini episodes, but then you'll get all this really cool content.
Whoa, I can't wait.
Ghost stories and things like that.
It really is a great place to find good, solid, entertaining indie pods.
Yeah, we'll be part of that Halloween show. So I am looking forward to that. And we'll let you know more about that as time marches on.
I haven't signed my contract yet. So
Well-
you're not allowed to use my name or likeness until I put pen to the paper.
Well, you just need to copy and paste this post on Facebook so that we don't take your identity. All right, Dylan. As always, it's such a pleasure
Yeah.
being with you.
Yeah, now I'm going to stalk you the rest of the evening.
You are like a blooming flower in the springtime.
Gosh, stalking seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's probably why you don't do it.
All right, so until next time.
Leave people the fuck alone, man.
That's right.
All right, bye.